All you have to do is remember that the thoughts that you think turn into ideas, and those ideas then are elements of consciousness on which you can act, physically speaking, so that you alter your reality. Welcome back to this new inspirational video. Today I wanted to go over the concept shared to us by Napoleon Hill. It's actually a quote, and the quote simply said, "More gold has been mined from the thoughts of men than has been taken from the earth." That's the quote. You might wonder, is this really true? If you've been studying the book, you probably believe that it is true already and you understand why it is true. But in general, I still wanted to expand upon it because it's a very powerful quote. Is it really true that more gold has been mined from the thoughts of man than has been taken from the earth? Of course that's true. If you really think about it, if we go through life and we think the only wealth we'll be able to experience and enjoy is, well, the wealth of physicality alone, then we're going to find that we're gonna run out of stuff all the time because things come and go. But the mind can keep on creating new and better ideas on how to improve our lives, physically speaking. And of course, wealth, becoming more wealthy, is an improvement on the physical side of your life. Now, how do you mine gold from your own thoughts? Well, that's another way of saying you have to build ideas. If you collect enough thoughts in your mind, they turn into what we call ideas. That is how it happens. So I can be sitting here and thinking of improving my life, becoming more successful, and then over time, as I keep thinking about that, ideas start to occur inside my consciousness on what I could be doing in order to make that happen. And then I can actually analyze that if I were to follow through on this idea, executed on the physical plane of life, then it's true, wealth could circulate towards me in return. And you see, most people, when they think of becoming wealthy, they instantly think about becoming lucky or winning the lottery. Now, winning the lottery is a way to get wealthy, and many people simply assume that that is the only way to become rich. And so they keep buying those lottery tickets, and well, most of the time nothing happens. You actually lose out on money. And every now and then somebody gets very lucky and maybe wins multi-millions of dollars, right? Crazy amounts. Well, statistics also show that these people might lose all their money rather quickly or waste it all because they didn't really develop the skills to understand how to generate money to begin with. Now, how to generate money in our lives or even better results is again by using our own ability to think and imagine. It is such a subtle power, such a mysterious power of consciousness. Sometimes when I lay down and when I sit down, meditate for a little bit, I just find it so fascinating that we have this power inside consciousness through which we can become aware of things that are not physically present at all, but for some reason we're able to actually turn them into physical realities. Therefore, you can mine gold from your thoughts. And the way to do it is don't panic, don't instantly worry about how am I going to do this. It doesn't make any sense at first. You have to understand that thoughts are sort of like frequencies that are going on throughout the universe itself. This is the best way to describe how this works. So let's say you have a negative thought, a limited thought, a way of thinking that doesn't really help you out to achieve and progress. That is a sort of speak, that's like a frequency, so to speak, is what I meant to say. So if you then change your focus inside consciousness, instead of thinking about negative and limited ideas, you start to think about wealth and expansion. You start to simply think about being rich just for fun, literally just as a game. That's the best way to start out. So you don't stress out over it, just see it as a game, because ultimately life is like a game. So you start thinking about riches inside your mind. So first of all, you start to consider, okay, if I'm rich, what does that actually mean for me? Perhaps it means an amount of money. Perhaps you'd feel rich if you had a certain home. Perhaps you'd simply feel rich if you had a great relationship, or whatever else it is that will make you feel rich. That's the goal. Then as you start thinking about it every day, just for fun again, just all casual, don't have to stress out over this. You just enjoy the thoughts inside your own consciousness. Out of nowhere, an idea might hit you. Suddenly you realize, wait a minute, if I would do this or that, then I could actually have it physically speaking for real. And then you can see this infinite source of supply that is available to you through your own consciousness. So we're called upon to create our own reality based on how we are imagining and thinking inside our minds. You see, this is the secret to success, is how you're using your mind. So if we want to create more wealth, if we want to mine more gold symbolically from thoughts, we're going to have to think about wealth. Now, I wrote a few notes here. The activity through which you know you can keep sharing with the world without any limit to the activity itself. That's kind of a weird sentence now that I look at it back for myself, but what I meant with that is we want to consider in this day and age that we're living in that we are living in a world of technology through which we can generate activities that can live on beyond the physical self very easily. This is huge, this is powerful, but the old paradigm of living, get a day job and just work physically speaking only for a certain amount of hours, is not going to make us very rich. We might be able to save up money if we're really disciplined, and then over a couple decades perhaps you can have quite a bit of money. But it's not the riches that we're talking about. We are talking about the riches that put us in a position that we can just create and live however we want to live at will. No matter what day it is, no matter what time it is, because we're in total control at that point because of the riches we've created. So through technology, and I'm going to make another video about this very soon because it's so fascinating to me and important, but through this technology we can discover that we can use it in such a way that stuff can live on beyond the physical body. This video that you're watching right now is now living on beyond my physical body. So anybody that has access to YouTube can watch it if they stumble upon my channel. So it lives on, right, indefinitely, unless I delete it myself. But if I don't do that, it keeps on generating a form of activity for people to learn something from it or to consider for themselves. Now, I always ask this to people in private at times, is, have you been doing this? And most people haven't. But then if I explain this to them, they do admit, it does make a lot of sense. It would put me in a better position if I were to live like that. So the book Think and Grow Rich is about generating wealth in the best and easiest way possible, which doesn't mean getting multiple jobs at all. It means using your mind in such a way that you create things that live on beyond the physical self that can still generate income for you. That's very powerful. Now, I know people as a mass have to keep up with this world and technology. If they do, they can actually create their own gold mine that will serve humanity indefinitely. That is what I'm getting at. They can create things in such a way that it can exist independent of them. And if they are willing to do this with their own dreams, somehow, some way, they will do amazing things. This is so true, because that's what I'm trying to share with humanity, is that if they just stop and think for a second, really think about this, then the odds are that you already have all sorts of stuff right now in your physical life, as you're watching this video, that you could use in order to build your own wealth and success in life. But it's lack of being aware of these things and how to use them to the best of our abilities that's going to keep us stuck. So the trick that we're facing here is to always keep an open mind and ask ourselves, can I do this better? Is there a better way for me, in this case, to generate wealth in my life? And really ask that question seriously, without being afraid of that, without feeling limited. Because the weird part is most people don't even consider that question to begin with. Isn't that weird? We can live such free lives, but we're not even considering at all to begin with. Because all of this quote, more gold has been mined from the thoughts of man than has been taken from the earth. It keeps on reminding us that riches exist in our minds, even though we generally consider riches based on money and physical things alone. But we can manifest these things by using our minds to come up with ideas through which we can be of service to humanity. So if you really want to become wealthy, that's all you have to focus on how you can serve humanity. And then I suggest, no matter what you do, is to always keep in mind, how can I serve humanity with what I'm passionate about in such a way that it can also serve them whether I'm physically there or not, whether I'm physically working on it or not. You see, that's where people limit themselves. They might become very wealthy with things that they do, physically speaking, through actual activities, but then they're not using their minds yet to actually create ideas on how they can also form these activities and express the activities in such a way that it can live on beyond the body. Because once you grasp this concept, then you can see that you have an infinite source of supply available to you. You can keep on thinking of better ways, different ways to keep sharing what you're passionate about with the world. Writers, painters, coaches, fitness coaches. I mean, I would dare say that pretty much with anything you do, physically speaking, you can turn it into something that can live on beyond the body as well, if you're aware on how to use current day and age technology in the right way. Because we are increasingly growing towards more and more expanded awareness and technology and inventions that we're going to have to keep up individually. Because if the masses are not going to help keep each other up, then we're going to have to decide for ourselves that we're going to keep being smart about how we're going through this life and use our minds in such a way that we're making the best use of everything that is available to us, so we can then get the best results for ourselves. That's all there is to life, is to enjoy it and discover for yourself that your mind is truly rich. There's an infinite source of supply in there. All you have to do is remember that the thoughts that you think turn into ideas, and those ideas then are elements of conscience on which you can act, physically speaking, so that you alter your reality. That's beautiful, and that's something you have to contemplate for yourself, because then you too will discover that it's true, that more gold will be mined from the thoughts of you than you'll ever be able to take from the earth, because those thoughts are going to turn into great, perhaps inventions for you. I don't know if that's your goal, your dream, or it's simply going to turn into great creations, as Wallace also said in The Science of Getting Rich. We must be taught to become rich through creation and not by competition. And so this future video that I'll talk about wealth is going to dive into this a little bit more concerning technology and the difference between us now and when they wrote those books. Because if we clearly see the differences, then we also see a way more effective approach to how we can create wealth in this day and age with current day technology. It's so awesome, it's so amazing to me. But the beautiful part about it all is that always, even now, it's the mind that's gonna make us rich. So be sure to use your mind in the right way, because you can come up with some wonderful ideas that will truly make you very wealthy and successful and happy. Make this a joyous experience, because that's what you want, don't you? I hope you do. Most people do, if they were to be honest. So let's have a wonderful future together. Now, with that being said, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing to receive inspirational videos on a regular basis. And never forget, dear viewer, that we are the dreamers.